Well, good afternoon, everybody. And I wanted to spend a few moments. We've been talking about certain aspects. Sister Cowart has been talking during the week. I thought it would be good. Thank you, sir. I thought it would be good to speak just a little bit about a few young women issues. And I'm privileged to have my daughters with me, my two daughters, Claytavia and Clayeisha. Of course, there's no questioning of where they got their name from, Clayton. And it's Claytavia, Clayeisha. It was going to be, if we had more, Clatonia, Clatina, Clatasha, just Cla. But anyway, we have Claytavia and Clayeisha. And I wanted to talk about a few things. The first thing I want to talk about is being single and how to be single, satisfied and saved and happy. And then I wanted to talk about, why at some ages children decide to get away and back away from the church. I'd like both of my daughters to introduce themselves, tell you what they do, and they've been in the church all their life. So we'll go with the oldest first, okay?
So my name is Claytavia Cowart. I'm currently living in Alpharetta, Georgia. I work in logistics, pretty much a logistics coordinator. Like my dad said, I've been in the church all my life, so church is basically all I know. 30 years old. Let's see, and I'm named after him.
That's great. My other daughter.
My name is Clayeisha Thomas. I'm married to the best husband on this side of the earth, Antonio Thomas. I'm the mother of one child. I'm getting ready to be 30 in July. I also trade on the foreign exchange market. I've been in the church all my life. I am a PK. Yeah, that's me.
And she made a mistake. It's Clayeisha Cowart Thomas. She was a coward before she was a Thomas. All right. Okay, so let's talk a little bit. Let's have a little dialogue. What has your life been like, Claytavia? You're 30 years old. You're not married, but you're happy. Tell me what life is like in that regard. And can you, and we want an open dialogue, and this is father and daughter talking. Can you be happy, satisfied, and live a happy life without that? And what has led you to be 30 years old, and you're 30, and you're straight? She's not gay. She's straight.
At all.
And,
At all.
and 30 years old. So what is that like? What is sustaining you? What keeps you that happiness? What keeps you at that level of life? Because there's a lot of young ladies who actually struggle with being single without a male in their life. And let's talk about that.
I would say for me, what really helped me is learning myself, and learning what makes me happy, and being single for me, I use it as a challenge. How much can I accomplish as a single young lady? And so I was able to finish school, and I'm going back to school for my master's. I'm in a very successful job right now, and I have the car that I want. I live where I want to live. But I use my singleness as a way to challenge myself and to be happy with myself. A lot of times people see singleness as something that, it's miserable, or you here until somebody find you. But while you waiting, you're not utilizing that time to find yourself and to find out what makes you happy versus, finding someone to make you happy. And so what really made me realize is that, hey, it may be a chance that I may not get married. Now, I do desire to be married, and I don't knock that. But if I don't get married, am I still going to be happy with my life? So what I had to do, I had to find out what makes me happy so that if I don't get married, I still live a life that was fulfilled, a life that I was satisfied, and a life that I felt like I was felt proud to live that life. Like I accomplished so many things as a single young lady. So when I do get to that stage, when I do get married, I have something to bring to the table and not just me waiting for someone to bring the table to me.
Well, that's pretty heavy. All right. So what is the advice that you would give now to young women who are in the church? Because we do have a lot of single women in the church for some reason who have not gotten married. There's no one has proposed to them. They're not in any relationship now, and some think life is passing them by, and some are, there's so much going through their minds. What would you say to them? What should they do? How should they respond? Because many people are going through heaviness and depressions and all these different things. So what would you say?
I would say it's all about the mindset. You can control what you think and what you feel. You can't control if somebody's going to marry you or if somebody's going to have an interest in you. So you have to really change your mindset and control what you can control. I can't control working on myself. I can control getting that job that I want or trying to strive to get that job. I can control, working or control different things about myself. I can control working on my character, working on disciplining myself. So really changing your focus on what you can control versus spending so much energy on something that you have no control over.
It's pretty good, pretty good. And so I'm also going to be talking about today, like, our young people, because I think in many apostolic churches there's a crisis that's going on where young people are basically kind of falling away from the church and falling away from God. Isha, at what point do you think young people lose their interest in God, and what is it that with this epidemic that we're having that really needs to be thought about, and we need to reconsider how to deal with these young people without seeing them go so far away from God?
Well, I think it all comes down to the turning 18. You get the mindset, I'm grown, and, legally you are grown. You are really grown. And I think what happens with a lot of young people, especially now, is different from when I left home and left church. When I left home and I left church, that's when I started to do different things. But now we have young people that's doing it at a younger age, 15, 16, and even 14. And I think what it mainly is that we got to get to a point as older people, we got to meet them at their level. And I learned this. And, with dealing with young people, you got to meet them where they are. So if you got different young people that's struggling with marijuana, you got different people struggling with drugs, you got different people struggling with homosexuality, sex, you got to meet them at that level, meaning you can't just come to them and just preach. And I will say, I thank God for Sister Sheffield for so much, because when I did step out, she met me at my level. Anytime she talked to me, she met me where I was. Because I already know the church. I already know I'm supposed to do what's right. I already know that this is wrong, that is wrong. So we got to come down to their level and meet them there and bring them from that level and bring them back up.
And that's not necessarily compromising. You can have the same standard, the same doctrine, and the same teachings, and we've never compromised. But I think a lot of times when people backslide and come back in, the church has to know how to reach them. How much of a role does a father in the church play in the lives of their children's stability? Play in the lives of, we've got two things, you're speaking of marriage, non-marriage. You think we're speaking of, backsliding, bringing them back. How much of a role does a father play in the life of children?
I would say a father plays a big role, because, and it's not even just in the church. Even if you look at it naturally, if you look at it, you see kids with one parent in the home versus kids with two parents in the home. Those kids are different. Even though they're not in the church, those kids have a different respect. They're not wild. They're more humble. They more structured. And so with the church having a father, it plays a big role, because even being out and being grown, there was things I wouldn't do because of my father, because of the structure. And I even look at my life like, yes, I left home, but I left home only to go in somebody else's home where it was still two parents in the home. There was still structure. And I think, my father being in my life played that big role, because it kept me from a lot of things. I was still respectful to adults. It just kept me versus, kids that don't have a father in their life and, their mother is raising them. As a mom, I know I'm a mom, and I'm soft as a mom. I can honestly say that, because it's just a difference. It's a mother love, and that's just how mothers are. But that father, it comes in and brings discipline. It brings structure. Like my son, he's a different kid with me than he is with his father. With me, he's going to give me more problems. But with his dad, he only can say one thing. And that's how we was with my parents. My mama, even when I came back home, my mom, she was like, well, your daddy said you got to go to church. And we were still trying to, not go to, we grown, we slept. But he came home one time and said, listen, I don't care if you got off work at 3 o'clock and church at 3:05 and you don't get here at 3, you better be at church. And from that moment, we were complaining, not to him, but to each other, but we was at church.
What about being single and satisfied? How much of a role does a father play in that with you, at that age that you are 30, you're not married, you're happy? How much is that father role play in that?
I would say that it's very important, because until you get married, I feel like until I get married, my father is my covering. So it's certain decisions that I won't make until I talk to my dad about it. And I'm grown, I'm at the house, but I understand that from a female perspective, we very emotional. So from a female perspective, you need that sternness, you need that male figure, you need it present. And so because I'm not married, I still ask my dad certain things. I still get his advice because I'm not married. And what really helped me is I'm not married, but I am, one day I will be married. But looking at my father and our relationship, it helps me to know that when I do get a husband, I want to give him the same respect that I would give my father. And so that's very important, especially in the world where, it's just black independent women and all that stuff like that. The male role is not respected. And so that's why I keep my dad. It's a lot of stuff. I don't have to ask him a lot of things, but I still ask him because I understand how important that male role is in a female life, especially a single young lady.
And I think that goes from your mother showing you that example, and that, because that plays a very important part. And Isha, you brought up a point, and I like to go back into that. And you talked about meeting the children where they are and kids where they are. There has to be an open dialogue with parents, even if you don't like what they say. You have to have an open relationship where you can be able to say what you don't like. So that, I know I'm very hard on discipline, but we had conversations about guys, young men, and anything, sex, anything you can talk about. We had comfortable conversations with those subjects and topics. How important is that? And this, what are some of the conversations that we have as father to daughters that are
I will say we have a great relationship with you, and that's why it's kind of like so important for dads to be in their, not just their son lives, but their daughter life. Because I even look at my life, like I waited till I got married. Not only that, I didn't marry just anybody. I married a hard-working guy, a guy that will go to work, that will provide for his family at any cost. And like my sister was saying, was like, we have so much respect for you, and it stand out so much that my husband have that respect for you. Like there was, even coming down to get in the house, it was like, hey, let's call your dad. that relationship is so important because I'm married, but I still call my daddy. I do. I still call my daddy, and I seek for him for different. And it's not nothing going behind my husband because my husband always say, well, you know what? See what your dad think about that. He may agree, but he always say, see what your dad think about that, because you always want to get a different opinion. But the fact that he say, see what your dad, not see what this person say or that person, he have that respect too. And it's just like, having a relationship now, even growing up, and because I look at it now, I say, is my relationship different as I'm an adult versus when I was a kid? And I can just only say the conversation is different. You know what I'm saying? It's not the relationship, but the conversation, because as a child, I speak as a child, but when I became an adult, I put away childish things. And so now my conversation is different with my dad, but the relationship is still there. And because my daddy built that relationship and that foundation with us when we was young, having conversations, because we'll talk to my dad before we talk to my mom. Like, literally, we'll say, Daddy, and we'll say, don't tell Mama. We'll tell her, and she find out later. She thinks she find out first, but really she always find out later. It's always him that find out first. But it's just that bond, that relationship. You can go to him, and it's very important for young ladies to have that.
What's the difference between respect and control and trying to, in fact, have your child's influence rather than control? Because I think this is one of the issues that some of the parents are having now, and that is being able to, there's a difference between control and respect. So what do you think the difference is?
I say the way I see it, control is saying, hey, do this, you need to do this, and do it because I said do it. I think respect is like, hey, do this, this is why you need to do it, or, I feel like this is going to help you in the future. And because I respect my parents so much, when they give me that advice, it's not control, it's the fact that I respect that they have my best interests at heart. So I think a lot of times parents, they don't get that child respect. They just go straight in and just try to control them. But if your kids respect you, they're going to listen to what you say. It don't matter what age they are. I trust my parents with anything. I know they're not going to lead me to the wrong lead me astray. They're not going to lead me into the wrong direction. So when you have that respect for your parents, then your kids, they're going to do it. But a lot of times, kids, they are led by control. So when they get older, when they get our age, they don't want to hear nothing the parent got to say at all, because it's been control and not, hey, leading by example or showing them like, hey, I have your best interest in heart. Respect, if you respect, like my mom always told me, respect gonna take you a long way. So I think kids, they have to be taught to respect their parents versus being controlled by their parents.
I would say I agree with what my sister said. It's funny that she say that, because even when I left home, there was a lot of things I did. As a matter of fact, probably about 2 or 3 months ago, I think I sent my dad some pictures of me, how I was dressed. But he never seen the pictures. Never seen the pictures. And I just showed him. I was like, man, Daddy, I was like really out here living, living my best life. You know what I'm saying? But the thing was, he never seen it because I had so much respect for my parents that, I wouldn't, post it. You know what I'm saying? Because I had respect for him, and I'm like, I can't do that. Like, nah, he don't know I'm dressed like this, so he don't know I'm not doing it. But I never got on the internet and did it. And it wasn't control, because at the end of the day, I'm grown. And I can do what I want to do, even to this day. And there's nothing wrong with it. But I won't wear pants to church. And it's not a sin or anything like that. But I won't wear pants to church because the respect. Like, that's something that my daddy, he never liked. Like, y'all don't wear pants to church, and I'm grown. And if I want to come in here with pants on, I can. You know what I'm saying? And what happens is when parents, it becomes control when you get mad at your child because they do it. You stop talking to them. I'm not going to talk to you. And that's bad. Like, your kids, I respect my daddy so much, and my mom. Even in a way, it's almost like they do still tell me what to do, because, and it's not control, but it's because so much how they come to me with it. When I come to my daddy for something, he don't say, don't do that, don't do that. He don't do that. Now, that's what he's doing when he was younger. Now, he did. But now, as an adult, he don't do that. He'll say, I wouldn't do that. Like my mom, she's always the one like, nah, I won't wear pants to this because, it's, and she never say don't wear them. She just say and because respect. It's like she make that little face and she get in that little voice. She automatically got it. You got it, Mom, because you got my respect. I'm sorry, but when it becomes control, when my mom say, I ain't talking to her no more because she got on them pants. She done wore them pants to church. Her dad, I'm like, I'm going to stop speaking to her. And my mom stopped talking to me for 2 weeks. And then your kids, they don't even want to respect you because now you're just controlling.
That's so true. That's true. What about, growing up, I know I've always been a busy, and I think this is encouraging to people, and I would like us to have this dialogue more. I've been, I want to, because this is something that many people need, but coming up, we were very busy, and I do want everybody to know I have a son. He's not here with us today. Today is just father and daughter's talk, but I have a son. All of you all are musicians. DJ plays the keyboard. Isha plays the bass. Tay plays the drum and the keyboard. So coming up, I was a very busy father. I was very busy. Sometimes I get sad about it, thinking about it. But what helped you to deal with that and to grow up and not have any animosity against me because of my schedule? How did you all adjust to that? What was done to make you, and you guys have a love for ministry, what helped you with that? What helped you to adjust?
I would say for me, being younger, like you don't understand it as a kid. Why daddy always busy, why mama busy. Like you don't understand it as a kid. But now that I'm older, I understand. And I think what really helped me is that my parents, they made it very important to us that we understood that we had to have a relationship with God. And so watching my parents go full throttle, that means go heavy, in the ministry.
That's no, I got it.
To go full throttle in the ministry as I got
full,
older.
What do they call it, full what?
Full throttle.
Well, you know what a throttle is?
I don't.
Okay.
I mean like heavy.
You know what a throttle is, right?
Yeah.
That's what you use on the airplane. That's the gas.
Oh.
That's a throttle.
Oh, I didn't know
Okay,
that.
so now y'all use the word, don't even know what they are. So it's full throttle.
We don't change the meaning of it, but
Okay.
I got you.
Okay.
But watching my parents be so dedicated and sacrifice so much in the ministry, to when I got older, it was so easy for me to understand the sacrifice that they made. To this day, I'm still a part. I don't go to the temple, but I go to Atlanta. But I'm still dedicated there because I watch my parents be very dedicated to God and to see the reward of it. And so we didn't grow up, hating our parents because, they couldn't take us somewhere. My dad, he took us basically everywhere we wanted to go and got us pretty much everything we wanted. I don't ever remember him telling us no when it came to something we wanted. Now, going to somebody's house we wanted to go to, he probably said no. But as far as like anything that we wanted or any money that we need, they never told us no about that. But watching them sacrifice from a young age and growing up, it really made me understand, the sacrifice that they made, and seeing so many lives change and so many people gravitating to my parents. It makes me proud to be their daughter because I see so many people love them just as much as I love them. And so that's what makes me love the ministry and still stick with the ministry.
And you wanted to say something? Go ahead.
So for me, I can honestly say that mine's a little different from my sister because I end up, having animosity because, my dad it just seemed like, and it could be, I'm the baby of the family, so I'm not used to no from nobody, not even my siblings. They still yes for me. But I did have animosity towards my dad, and that was kind of one of the reasons why I left. And a lot of pastor kids do deal with this, and a lot of people don't understand, but a lot of pastor kids do deal with this, and it's because you know, you sit back and you look at your father, you know, he sacrificed his whole life just for ministry, and, you know, even come down to, you know, people doing him wrong or people mistreating him, and you know the life that he lived. So I did have animosity because I felt like you do all this and, you know, here we are or whatever like that. But what changed my mind? Never had a conversation with him to change my mind. Never had a conversation with my mom to change my mind. What changed my mind and changed my heart towards that is the blessings of God. I seen my father grow in ministry, and I seen him do nothing less but put God first. And I'm like, you know what? I can't have no animosity towards, you know, him answering the call of God, because the church has been a blessing to us. I mean, anything we have, I mean, when I got married, I mean, my baby shower, my baby, I mean, the saints of God really do love us, you know, and even it's very important, even as pastor kids, you know, you respect the people of God, you know, you never make them feel any type of way because, or you don't make them feel like that, because those are the people that stand in the gap for you. When it comes to anything, they will look out for you, and I thank God for that. And, you know, that was something that changed my heart, is because, like, I watched my dad live what he preached. To this day, at what, you 60? Oh, you 50. Okay, my man. The great fooled me. But at 50 years old, I never seen my...
Block her off,
Ooh,
Celia.
glory.
Mute her and block her off the stream at this point.
Forgive me.
We're disconnecting her, okay? She called me 60, and then she said the beard, so she's on probation on this.
So you don't do it. But it's just to see that to this day, I can say at about to be 30 years old, I never seen my father change. I never seen him change in the doctrine. I never seen him change. His yes is yes, his no's. And that made me, you know, respect him, and, you know, can't have that feeling, because I see where the church come from. Like, I see, you know, one church or 4 or 5 churches, until now we have all these churches, and it's just him being a leader and answering to God's call. And I believe that's how blessings flow in my life, you know what I'm saying, because we learn not to have that animosity and not feel that way towards the church, and love the church and embrace the church, because the church is really your family. I mean, we went to people's house out the church, you know, and it was church people. It was the church family. So I could say for me, that was something that changed my heart and changed the animosity that I felt towards my dad as being a leader.
You know, you all said something, and I think this is a major problem, and that is church kids sometimes can get that arrogancy towards the members, and they treat the members like they're second class, like this is my daddy's church, my mama's church, and they treat people different, they talk to people different ways, and then sometimes they kind of go and do their own thing as far as the standard and not respecting their father's standard. That can hurt the church. Give me your opinions and your thoughts on that.
I said with that, we was always taught we're going to do it first. My dad led us by, we are going to be the example. If church started at 7, we're going to be here at 6:30 or 6:45. If you're riding with mama, probably 6:15. If he say that he wants the church here, we're going to be there. And I think that's very important, you know, even if you out your parents' household and you're a pastor kid, but you still attend that church, you have to lead by example, because I don't care how old you are, the church is still watching the preacher's kids. They still watching it, because they look for some reason not to respect what your father is saying. And so that has always been big to me. I don't want, if my dad telling the church something, I want to make sure that I'm the first person to do it, because if they see me not doing it, then guess what they're going to say? Oh, his children ain't doing it. You get what I'm saying? And even though I'm not in the household, it's still certain things that I'm not going to do, because I know what is being taught. And I know, you know, the respect level that I want other people to have for my father in ministry. And one thing I can say is really being consistent as well. My parents, they was very consistent with it. And that's important, because if you see, you know, your parents, oh, at home, they telling you, you can do this, you can do that. But when you get into church, oh, keep it on the hush. Like, no, because kids going to grow up, preacher kids going to grow up. Well, you let us do this at home, but you had us living double lives. So that's very important as well. And like my sister said, having a relationship with the people in the church. It's people in the church I call auntie that's not my auntie. People I call uncle that's not my uncle. Because to me, we just one big family. And my parents made us learn to love the church and see them as a family. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of them, that's big brother, that's little sis, our big sis, that's auntie, that's uncle. And to have that big family, that really did help us a lot because we knew the church loved us. And I think that's important for preacher kids to know, it's not about you. It's about us. And when I say us, I mean the family, the church family. And, that's all I have to say about that one.
I agree with my sister so much. And I know a lot of, pastor kids, they get older, they become adults, and, they leave the church and they get this feeling like, I don't like church people. I don't like church people. And, that has to change because, because you say that you don't like church people and stuff, you start feeling like that towards God. And I had to tell a young person this, like, your relationship with God has nothing to do with your relationship with people. I don't go to church for the people. I go to church for God. I go to church for the fellowship. I go to church to be in God's presence. And I got to piggyback on what my sister said. My parents always taught us to have respect for the people of God. Now, everybody know me. I'm a clown. I always say, listen, don't call my daddy daddy. The only one I claim is Eddie Nelson. He the only one I claim. Literally, that's my brother for life. But there are a lot of people, I always play with a lot of people because are some young ladies that they look at my dad as a father because they don't have a father. And it's like, you do get to a point where you kind of feel like, man, it's nothing for myself. But then at the same time, it's like, man, it feels good that my dad is loved by so many people. Like, they love this man like I love this man. Like, they see exactly what I see. And like my sister said, like, there's so many people in the church that we call, I have people that's not my blood. I'm probably, this whole church is auntie, unc. I don't think I really call nobody by their real names. Everybody is unc and auntie to me because these people watch me grow up and they so, into my life. And I don't say this boastful, but anything that we may ask for, I'm talking about anything. Like, if I have a baby shower, those people are the ones that come through every single time. It's my church family. They always there to support. If we need something, if I get sick, when I had my baby early, they was, hey, what you need? This, I literally came home after having a baby 5 weeks early to everything. And then had a baby shower after the baby was born, everything. And it was the church people, my church family. And it's important to remember, like, your church family, because those are the people that stand in the gap for you. They pray for you. They pray for your first family. When you out hanging out, they're praying for your father when you're not praying for him. So it's like we can't get that feeling and that mixed feeling towards the church people because y'all start feeling like that towards God, and he don't deserve that. And it's not church people. If you just have an altar or something like that, then you go on it out. But it's going to be church people in hell. I'm just being honest. It's going to be church people in hell, so you're going to be around church people. Wherever you spend eternity, either heaven or hell, you're going to be around those church people.
So it kind of helps to have that relationship and not to, and so as far as discipline and rules, was the set of rules different from you all than it was for the church?
Nah, you was extra strict on us.
You put your whole family on silence before. Your whole family.
We all been on silence.
We all been on silence. Your whole family.
I was on silence when I was, 3 years old for cutting my hair.
Set us on the front row with mama for 6 months.
Yeah.
No TV, the same outfit. Oh, no. We actually felt it harder.
What was the same outfit about?
Oh, man, we was picking at some kids because they was less fortunate. And my grandmother had told my daddy about it. And why did grandma do that? My dad made us wear the same clothes. I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks. We washed and kept wearing
it was like 6 months.
6 months. We washed and kept wearing the same clothes. So that taught us a lesson. That really did teach us a lesson. Don't pick at people.
I was extra.
Extra, very extra.
Well, it helped look at the product.
Yes, sir.
So what I want you to do, this is my last and final statement. I want you all to, if you was going to encourage some young lady that's a part of church, a father, a pastor, or just in any way, or something that you would say to young people in general, someone that's single, someone either way, what would your words be to them? What would you say to those single women who are out, and then to those young people who may be drifting away from the church and have gotten to that point? What would you say to those single ladies?
To the single ladies, I would say just refocus, fall in love with yourself, and really just try to change your mindset, and just know that, it may not be happening now, but it does not mean it's not going to happen. But if you use all the energy and hoping that it's going to happen to better yourself, you're going to succeed. And you're going to see a lot of things in your life shift. You're going to be more happy, and you're going to feel more accomplished. And if you're anything like me, at one point, I'm still there. I'm just content with being single. To the fact, I was like, okay, now I do want kids, so I got to eventually start talking to someone. But because I was so content with it, that when I knew I was getting content with it, I knew, like, okay, I have accomplished what I wanted to accomplish, and that is to love myself, know myself, and be happy with myself.
I would say to any young person that's struggling or battle wherever you are, the one thing I will say, and I will say that kept me, is praying. Have a relationship with God. I don't care in what sin you are in. Still come to church. Make that a priority, because honestly, I feel like because of that, because even in my sin, even in my mess, I was still coming to church on Sunday, Sunday night, Wednesday. I still was trying to have that relationship with God. It kept me from a lot of things that, I know I can say I should have been dead, I should have been raped, all type of stuff. But I believe those prayers, it kept me. So I will say, wherever you are, pray, because that's the only way you're going to, because you don't hear nobody else. You don't hear what your pastor's saying. So you got to have a relationship with God, because that's going to keep you and open your mind, and it's going to give you peace.
Well, I thank you all for listening. And, we don't portray as a family that we've made all of the perfect decisions and done all of the things right. But what we do say is that we've made it our business to seek to do what the Word of God says. And it helps bring us to compliance and bring us to the place of blessing. So I'm grateful today to be here with my daughters. I'm grateful for this dialogue and what I'm going to do, because I think this is something needful. I want to have this continuously. Maybe, Tay's in Atlanta now, but things like this on a weekly basis. You need that father and daughter conversation and talk. What do you think is one of the most memorable things that you have with me as a father, if there's anything that was most memorable to you?
I don't have to think about mine. Mine was when I was getting ready to have my baby. Well, I wasn't supposed to have him, but my blood pressure was sky high, and my dad was actually supposed to preach out of town. And for some reason, I'm just as scared as doctors as my daddy. So he's more understanding. My mama, she was in there like, girl, these people got it. But my daddy, he canceled his flight. He came to that hospital, and he was right there by me. And I was crying. I was like, Daddy, but I'm scared. And he was just always so sensitive to us. I love that about him. And that moment was everything, because my daddy was there in the hospital with me when I gave birth to my son, and he seen him before me, and it was just everything, because he prayed with the doctor. Y'all know my dad is extra. So he prayed with every doctor that was going to be in that room when I was going to have that C-section. He was not playing. He was serious. But it just showed me, like, my daddy, that was one moment where he was right there. And I really needed him there, because my mom, she was just no good. She was just no good. She felt like she had 3 kids. I can do it too. But my dad was right there. He was so understanding. That was literally a highlight moment for my life.
I think for me, and I still think about it to this day, a couple years ago, I had a little heartbreak, and I told my dad about it, and my dad let me cry. I think I cried for maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4 or 5 hours that night. And I just laid on my dad's shoulder, and I just cried. And for me, that was so special to me, because, like my sister said, my dad has always been sensitive to our needs. Now, after I stopped crying, my dad told me, you're beautiful, you this, you that, and he built me back up. but he allowed me to be weak in that moment. And that was so important to me. And I still talk about it and think about it because I really needed that moment. And I probably cried for about 4 or 5 hours, and I was just crying till tears weren't even coming out no more. But he let me be weak at that moment. He was there to build me back up and help me through that process. And for me, that's probably one of the most special moments in my life with my father.
And I thought we should share this with everyone so that they can see there is another side to our family. There's another side to me. You know, I'm a very hard preacher and tough, and I believe in the doctrine and believe in standing on what's right. But I also believe in love and being able to do whatever it takes to win. And I think that's what we have to do as men of God. So I'm appreciative for this time. We made it our business as coming up. You know, we didn't put a lot of our business out forward, and we are a very private family when it comes down to our intimacy, our issues that we have. So we've always been that way because we don't want to provoke issues. And our family is our family. Our fights, our issues, our problems, we keep those to ourselves. But this is a part of our life that we wanted to share with everybody, and we're grateful. We're just happy for what the Lord has done. I'm blessed to have 5 grand, and I was able to go and enjoy all of them, I'm grateful for what we did and what we contributed in the lives of our children, and I'm grateful for you all. Well, I love everybody, and thank you for listening today, and I hope that this will be a blessing to you. Thank you.